You are listening to the Battle Ready Podcast. My name is Aaron McManus, and I'm joined with my dad, Erwin Raphael McManus.
How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing so good. So good.
Today, I just got off of a Zoom meeting with some of our guys in Seattle, some of our guys in Mexico City, Atlanta, LA, all over LA. I wanted to maybe bring this up today and have a conversation about a new initiative we are starting called Mosaic Houses, which we go back and forth on things that we talk about, whether it's politics, whether it's movies, sports, faith, freedom of speech, being American, being international, all of the things that we talk about. But today I wanted to kind of break down, maybe just ask you a few questions from like someone who's a part of Mosaic. You can give some answers or give us some long stories. I'm not sure what you prefer. But just kind of pick your brain a little bit. Is that okay?
Okay. All right, let's go.
So
I'm excited about it.
You had kind of, in like such Mosaic fashion and ERM fashion, which is our respectful title for you, is Erwin Raphael McManus, ERM. You leaked our most recent initiative called Mosaic Houses on Instagram. And you had, and this is what happened. We were sitting in the office together and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about posting an Instagram story, like on a post, an Instagram post. Awesome. And I think I just talked to you like, hey, you need to be posting more.
Yeah.
People want to hear from you. You post more. And you had taken a long break during COVID. You're not really social media based. You like basketball highlights. And and we sensed each other and stuff like that. But you decided to, we were planning this new thing called Mosaic Houses. And I didn't know that the post you were going to make was like a 5-minute post on.
Well, we were still talking about it. It's still in concept stage.
It was still in concept stage. We only had the name and the idea. We didn't really have what it was yet. So then, you post it, then we were bombarded with people around the world going, I want to be a Mosaic House, I want to be a Mosaic House, I want to be a Mosaic House. And I'm like, okay, great, but we don't know exactly what that is yet. Now we've kind of figured it out. That was my Zoom call this morning.
Been working on infrastructure for the last couple of months.
We are launching it March 7th, which is pretty incredible.
Yes, it is.
And so I want to pick your brain because some people might ask the question, so you don't think we're going back to church for a while if we're doing this Mosaic House initiative?
Well, that is a good question. I get that all the time from people, or I get it from more extreme levels of why aren't you worshiping?
Yeah.
Defy the government, defy
freedom of religion, freedom to worship.
People get mad at me going, why are you a coward? Why, don't you have the courage to worship? And I think it's so interesting. And
it's always interesting that people question people who start churches when they never have.
But, and anyone who knows me would probably
would
know
never
that.
Call you a coward.
Yeah, I would say that I've lived long enough to have my own credibility on these things. But there's several issues for us. One is we're in the middle of Hollywood, at least this campus here, and LA is a very liberal city. And you can see there's a clear spectrum across America. The more progressive, the more liberal an area is, the more concerned they are about COVID, the more concerned they are about the spread of the pandemic and of not meeting together. And the more conservative areas are, the less concern they have about COVID and the less concern they have about masks and 6 feet of distancing. And say what you will, that's just the reality across our nation. And so I know people across the country that are meeting every week right now, and some people even in Orange County that are meeting. And Orange County tends to be far more conservative than Los Angeles County. And you can just map out the nation, and from right to left based on how they're responding to COVID.
And most states with big cities are, from the cities to the suburbs are massively different, drastically different.
And on a personal level, I'm not concerned about it. I'm certainly not worried about my own personal health or well-being in that regard. But Mosaic has never been just about creating a place for Christians or a place for people who already believe to come together. And so we would never do anything that would actually hinder or hurt our ability to help people find Jesus in LA. So our approach is still the same. We're looking at the situation just like we did before the pandemic and ask the question, how do we do things in a way that creates a genuine, authentic expression of who Jesus is in a world of people that don't believe in him and are not inclined to believe in him. And so it doesn't make sense for us, quote, to violate. I'm not making my decisions based on the government. Right. I'm making my decisions based on what's the most healthy response to our city and helping people as much as possible connect to who Jesus is. So it's going to be a while before we can probably meet every single week. It could be a while before we're able to have corporate worship. And you can tell politicians do not understand the church. They don't understand faith when they say, oh, you can meet back together, but you can only meet 25% capacity and you have to wear masks and you can't sing.
Yeah.
So the moment it tells, well, you can't come together and worship unless you're maybe, I don't know, Catholic or Anglican or
Church of Christ
or something, or Church of Christ. Oh, no, they sing, but they sing without instruments.
Without instruments, right.
They don't understand why we come together and the essence of worship. And so I'm going, we're not going to come together to not be together. We're not going to come together to wear masks 6 feet apart, to not sing and just stand there so someone can speak. That doesn't even make any sense.
It makes no sense at all.
Yeah, so you're not giving us the, quote, the right to worship again. And that's like saying, hey, you can go to the movies, but you can't turn on the screen. And as long as you don't turn on the screen, it's okay to go back to movie theaters again. And or you have to wear blinders. and
it's like going to movies that you can't laugh or cry or have any emotion.
Yeah,
or have any
popcorn.
response, or talk to the person next to you, or hug, or say hi.
Yeah, you can go to a sporting event, but you can't cheer.
Right.
And there are just some things that are inseparable from the experience, and so the reality is that it's going to be a while before our nation is comfortable with coming back together, and it could be a long time. And so our strategy is.
Because one thing we've seen, I just want to point this out.
Yeah.
Before you hit the big one, our strategy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of friends that are back in church, the people aren't comfortable coming back.
No, and it's a terrible experience.
And even in really conservative areas.
Yes.
And it's a terrible experience. The energy is low. The attendance is low. There's so many masks. It's not the same community feeling. So if we're going to do it, we feel like we should do it at the best of our abilities. So,
yeah. One of my friends in D.C. who's in a very conservative county said, we started doing church. Their church is very small. He goes, but everyone would take off their mask in the church. So then the first time guests who came were actually wearing masks and they never came back, or they would walk out because they didn't feel comfortable. The people in their church were comfortable because they all knew each other. But all the strangers didn't feel comfortable.
Right.
And so why would we create an experience where every guest would feel uncomfortable and not want to be there?
Right.
And because we want to always treat our guests with the highest value. So I know this, the church is so much more than gathering together. And that's one of the reasons Mosaic has been so resilient throughout the whole pandemic. Part of the reason Mosaic has been growing, part of the reason the giving has been strong, part of the reason people have been really taken care of. I mean, in the middle of pandemic, we're building $1 million school in Malawi and to provide the highest level of education for 1,600 students in the middle of one of the most impoverished countries in the world. Yeah. We didn't stop doing that. In the middle of a pandemic, we've been feeding families who don't have jobs and who, not just sometimes per day, but for a week at a time. And in the middle of a pandemic, we're still doing so much good in the world. Yeah. And it's because the church is more than just worship. The church is more than just singing. But we want to make sure that there is the opportunity to connect the community all over the world. And that's one of the things that Mosaic Houses really, really engages, is it helps people connect with people and to realize that they're connecting to the broader movement of Jesus all over the world. And it's already happening. This isn't really something, quote, we're starting. It's something that has already started all over the world. We're just identifying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how when you watch these detective shows where after there's a crime, they put powder or whatever to see where the fingerprints are and the footprints are and everything like that, and then they're able to identify the crime scene. It's a flip for us. We're just putting the powder out to see where all the footprints are, all the fingerprints are, because there are people all over the world who've been contacting me and different people on our team saying, we're Mosaic, but we're in Berlin. We're Mosaic, but we're in Paris. Yeah. We're Mosaic, but we're in Singapore. And I realized, they want to be identified and acknowledged as a part of our church, part of our community. And so I said, first of all, let's just identify all that's really happening all over the world, and then connect them to where they really are a part of our community.
Right.
And there are people who are already inviting friends in different parts of the world to experience worship and community together every week.
And so Mosaic House is really, to simply put it, is really just people identifying with Mosaic around the world, listening to the worship, watching the messages, and building community, natural community with the people in their world. Mm-hmm. Well, hey, I don't have anyone to watch with. Well, we're going to figure out a way to connect you guys, not to watch maybe in person right now, mm-hmm. but to have some point of connecting point online with people, but really giving people a mechanism to go, hey, look, I watch it with a few other couples and their kids in our world, or I have people and I invite them over. And so we're kind of creating a space where we can equip people with our culture and how we read the Bible and how we pray for each other and how we engage with each other and how we build community. And we've talked about this, like a lot of this, like will church go back once a month before it goes back week to week? Mm-hmm. Will it go back every week right away? I don't know. It's really what people are comfortable with, but this is a way for us to, in LA, people don't go to church every week.
No, and
people
they never
travel.
did before the pandemic.
No.
And we would average about 20% of our attendance every week.
Yeah.
So it would take an entire month for 100% of our people to come through.
Yes.
And so even if we came back once a month, we would just be forcing people to choose their once a month on the same Sunday.
Yeah, people were always so shocked, like around Easter and Christmas, when we'd have like 15,000 people come through the doors, and they'd be like, who are all these people? I'm like, no, it's all you people who come once every 6 weeks. You all came on the same week.
Yeah, that's why Easter becomes so big. It's because they all show up on the same Sunday.
Yeah. Is it different than like the home church?
Yeah, I think it's very different.
How so?
Well, several reasons. One is that a lot of times when people have a home church, it's very isolated and very disconnected, and there's no momentum. It's just their family or just a few people, and they're not a part of a bigger movement of Jesus.
Yeah.
And so I think there's several aspects. One, and this is not talked about a whole lot, but one of them is spiritual authority.
Right.
Is when a person is just doing church, quote, by themselves, there is no spiritual authority or accountability in their life in any way. And what we're saying here is if and I guess I'll be more specific here, if you see me as your pastor and you see Mosaic as your church, and this is your spiritual community, and this is where your spiritual authority is given, because spiritual authority is not something you can demand on someone. It's something someone gives you. You say, you're the spiritual authority in my life. You're the voice in my life. And frankly, I'll give you several examples. There are a lot of people who get really weird about their theology. They get really weird about like spiritual gifts or the end time or and there's a lot of mix of bad emotional mental health into theology. And with a community like Mosaic, that theology is ensured to become healthy. And so if you have a spiritual authority in your life, it actually helps you when you're studying the scriptures, when you're working with other people, when you're trying to assess your own life. And there are people who see Mosaic who've chosen Mosaic as their spiritual authority. And that's, I think, going to be part of the houses is that we do have a certain way of seeing the Bible. We have a certain way of seeing the scriptures and communicating who Jesus is, who we are as human beings. And if you resonate with that, that actually, for me, qualifies you as Mosaic House.
I like it.
I'm
excited.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. And also, I have people all over the world saying, I have friends who don't know Jesus, and there are churches I can go to for me because I can go to church anywhere, but there are no churches I can bring my unbelieving friends to.
Right.
And
we have
so
pastors wanting to connect.
And when we used to meet here in Hollywood live, at night, pastors from other churches would bring their unbelieving friends to Mosaic because they knew the churches they were pastors of couldn't bring their friends to Jesus. And so this is a way, by having a Mosaic House, is having an official way of saying, hey, I want to invite you. I host a Mosaic House. We listen to this message. And you can know when you're listening to the message, it's going to draw your friends closer to Jesus. It's going to bring your friends who are atheists, agnostics, who are struggling with their faith into a relationship with Jesus, and it's a way of doing it together. It's really saying I'm in partnership with Mosaic, and I'm the platform in my city, and to bring this kind of message of Jesus to my place.
Yep, I love it. I'm excited.
I am so excited about it.
I'm excited too. Like the dream for me So I've been on part of the team that gets to come up with stuff like this, and you came up with the idea, and you've been steering us the course, and helping us find our way alongside all of the copy and the web pages and all of the things. But I'm really looking forward to, at some point, there being a video of people inviting people to Mosaic from around the country, and we get 30 to 40 to 50 countries. I can't wait for that video in front of the Eiffel Tower. It's like, welcome to Mosaic in French, which I haven't gotten there yet on Duolingo.
Oh, I want to see videos of people all over the world who are Mosaic and part of the Mosaic Houses, but also it helps us to know where God is working through Mosaic and where God wants Mosaic to be working.
Yes.
So when we see 20 houses open up in New York, or we see 30 houses open up in
Miami and in Cape Town,
or Berlin or Tokyo, or Singapore, that's where we're going to focus our attention.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be where I'm going to get on a plane and go when the world opens up.
That's not a promise. That's not a commitment. But I think it helps us know where we do events and where we bring worship and where we bring. And this has been a conversation, because is the ultimate goal campuses? I don't know. The ultimate goal is that the internet is a more effective way to meet and bring thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions and billions of people together that you couldn't do in person. And so I think the reality is we're having a more modern mindset to go, there's only so many people we can get to on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard on La Brea, and it is important, or in South Pass or in Venice. But we can engage people across the world in their own home.
Yes, and we should accept the fact that the future is more unpredictable than the past. And we're facing our first global pandemic of this kind. And we need to make sure the church is agile and resilient.
Yeah.
And so if we open up
and connected.
Yeah, connected. If we open up hundreds of, if not thousands of Mosaic houses all over the world, when we can come together, we come together. But when we can't come together, we're still together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, is that this is not a short-term strategy. This is the long-term strategy, so the church can keep moving forward no matter what we face, no matter what may come.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
I am too. So if you're listening and you want to be a part of Mosaic Houses, who would they contact? How would they contact us?
That's not this episode. No, we'll put a link in the bio of this episode on iTunes and maybe Spotify. You can do it on Spotify too.
Yeah, we can put it everywhere.
Yeah, we can put it in our link tree in the bio of our Instagram as well, where you can fill out a form and essentially just tell us about you. Because this is the difference, right? It's like you come into church and you fill out a guest card. No, this is different. Like, we want to actually identify our friends around the world and equip them with the ability to host church in their own home. And I think a lot of people might have a discomfort or say, I can't do that. I can't. Like, no, you can turn on YouTube and press play.
Yeah.
Mosaic.org/live and there's no, it's a low commitment in that way. And that it's like, you can watch the worship, you can listen to the message, you can engage with your friends. And we have so many cool things that we're going to attach to the messages to like help forward the conversation afterwards and before and during the week and help bring people together.
Yeah. I mean, some of the fun ones I've received is there's a family in South Africa who owns a vineyard, and every week they meet, and they also own a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so they meet every week with all the employees of the vineyard and all the employees of the restaurant before they all work every Sunday. And they sent me a note from South Africa going, we're part of your community. We join you and we love everything you guys are doing. And I thought, what a cool thing to have a Mosaic House in the vineyard in South Africa. I got a note a while back from a man who's Catholic in Wisconsin, and the whole Catholic Church watches our gatherings on Sunday. Wow. And that's how he grew his parish. And then he moved to another state, and he said, now I'm going to try to do that in the other parish I'm going to.
Wow.
And another man who works in the oil rigs across the country opened up Mosaic viewing, what we called viewing parties at the time, and which would be houses on oil rigs across the world.
So cool.
And so there's just so many ways of expressing the whole concept of a Mosaic house. And I know some that have 30, 40 people already meeting together and as friends. And then others that are their family, but their family decided Mosaic was their home.
Yeah.
And some of them are people who lived in LA over the last 30 years, who moved around the world and said, we tried, but we're just Mosaic, no matter where we are. And that's been true. We have people in Shanghai and people in Hong Kong. And
I think one of the things that I find interesting is, we don't do a ton of test marketing because we usually come up with an idea and we're like, let's go. And we figure it out. But with this, we really did take the time to kind of have conversations with people who are kind of already doing this in different cities across the world.
Yes.
And one of the things that we found was if you had been to a Mosaic, if you were part of a Mosaic that was local and you could go every Sunday, there was a loss.
Mm-hmm.
When are we going to meet in person?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you are meeting in person. You're meeting with the people that you can meet with right now in your community, in your group. And I think there's a shift in mentality, and I hope that we become pliable enough to shift to it and shift back. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to be people who go backwards. I want this thing to grow so much. And I'm like, the vision for this really, or a part of the vision is that, I'm posing this as a question. Is it that this could be the greatest growth mechanism for the church in the history of the church? This is like Acts 10. This is biblical, using the internet.
Absolutely. It's taking the best of the past and the best of the present to create the future, the best future.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think for anyone who doesn't feel like, oh, I can't have people in my house, it's like, that's the greatest thing, is that we still do the hosting. All you have to do is press play and engage. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because we still do the hosting. We're still doing like the offering stuff. We're still doing the praying. We're still doing the message and the worship. And you just maybe get some Sonos speakers and blast that thing in a car or in your house and invite a couple friends over it. Yeah. And I think there's something that's so personal and intimate about that, which is really cool.
Yeah, I want to say that again because I think it's actually, we're taking the best of the past and the best of the present to create the best future. And I think that's what Mosaic Houses are doing. And you're right. I think this is a very New Testament, but it's solving.
You write that down. Sick. Send it to Brooke and Nicole. Put it on the website.
It's really solving some interesting things because there are a lot of people who have been like house church people or home church people, but those movements never multiply because they're so isolated and disconnected.
Yeah.
And you can't expect every person in every home to have the same level of leadership gifts. No. And or Bible or understanding the Bible, but when you can just be a great host, then it's all about love. And and when we're providing the truth, when you turn on the experience of worship and the message, you're providing the love by hosting and creating a space for people. And when you have truth and love working together, it's the most powerful thing in the world.
I'm excited. Okay, we're trying to keep this one a shorter one, so we just wanted to plug in and talk about Mosaic Houses. This is something that is starting March 7th. If you're interested in starting a Mosaic House, or what is a Mosaic House? Mosaic House is you at your house watching Mosaic with you, your loved one, your friends. We aren't really facilitating like announcing where houses are, but we are going to highlight houses that we come to discover and find. And so fill out this form and set up, and we'll find a house for you, but really it's you becoming the house.
It is, absolutely.
And I love that.
And it may just start with you.
May just start with you.
And some of the most powerful things in the world started with one person who decided to make a change.
Yep. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm excited.
And to make a difference. Yeah, you did.
I'm really excited.
All right, here we go. I'm excited. Mosaic Houses, here we come.
Super excited. Mosaic Houses, March 7th. Check it out. Check it out. Okay, also, thank you for listening to the Better Ready podcast. Thank you for rating and reviewing this on iTunes, listening to this on Spotify, watching it on YouTube. Share this thing. Share this thing. Share this thing. Share with your friends, with your loved ones, with the people you care about. Is there a special someone out there that you haven't said hello to?
Oh, how come we didn't do our Valentine's episode?
We should do I think we're going to do a Bachelor Ready Valentine's Day episode. Are you in love, but they don't know? Do you like someone, but they're not sure? Are you wondering, do I shower enough? Or why do I perspire when I talk to this person?
Are you single for life, but actually you really want to get married?
Help, Lord. I'm just trying to meet somebody.
Are we still recording?
No, tune in for the next episode on love and romance and Valentine's. You were listening to Battle Ready right now.
Oh no.
Apple Music. Is that what we're on?
Are you Zane Lowe?
I'm Zane Lowe. And you're listening to my conversation with Harry Styles. That's not in a Kiwi accent, but anyways. Good night.
This has digressed.
This has.
We love you guys.
We do. Goodbye.